My name's Luke. I'm 26 years old, and I figure the best way to kick this off is to say that I used to believe family loyalty actually meant something. That if you showed up, gave your time, your money, and your heart, people would recognize it. That it would count for something. But this past Easter, it showed me just how wrong I was. I'm way older than the others, by a long shot. My little brother, Ryan, he's 18. Dad got remarried when I was 18, not too long after Mom passed away. Even now, just typing that out still stings. Her death kind of blew everything apart, and while I tried like hell to hold the pieces together, Dad moved on faster than I ever thought possible. Within a year, he was dating this woman named Paula, spelled with a C, because of course it is. And by the time I was finishing high school, she was already moving into the house Mom and I had shared. It never really felt like a family after that. More like some thrown-together arrangement that always seemed to lean hard in Paula and Ryan's favor. At first, I gave it my all. I really did. I helped Ryan with his homework. I hauled home groceries. Even picked up a part-time job to pitch in while juggling college. Paula would always act polite, but it was that tight, fake kind of nice. The kind of smile you give a cashier when you don't even bother making eye contact. And Dad, he just started fading away. He quit coming to my recitals, ditched our movie nights, started canceling the father-son trips we used to take every spring. Said he was busy, but he wasn't. He just stopped trying. I finally moved out when I was 23, after getting tired of feeling like a guest in my own damn house. But even after that, I didn't cut them off. I still showed up for birthdays. Still sent gifts in the mail. Still called every Sunday like clockwork. It was like I kept thinking, maybe next time they'll actually see me. Maybe next time things would be different. Spoiler alert, they never were. This year, Paula decided to throw some big, flashy Easter party. She posted about it in our group chat like it was the biggest surprise ever. Backyard egg hunt, catered food, family traditions, all that. I rolled my eyes, but I said I'd come. Mostly because Ryan asked me directly. And I figured, what the hell? I had the day off, and maybe, just maybe, it'd be a chance to patch things up. Even though, deep down, I should have known better, I still walked into that house hoping it might feel like home again. The day started off, all right, I guess. Paula started barking out orders like she was running a company meeting. Luke, take care of the backyard. Set up the egg hunt stations. Make sure the tables are wiped down. Stock the cooler with juice boxes for the kids. Oh, and don't forget the plastic forks and knives. No, please. No, thank you. Just orders, plain and simple. I didn't argue. I just smiled, nodded, and got to work. Same as always. It's like muscle memory at this point. I cleaned up the backyard, spread out the plastic eggs, laid the tablecloths down nice and neat, even tightened up a few chairs that were about to fall apart. When the catering company called saying they forgot the vegetarian dish, guess who made a last-minute store run? Yeah, me. Paid for it out of pocket too. $85.57. Never saw that money again, by the way. Around 3 o'clock, folks started showing up. Mostly Paula's side of the family, cousins, in-laws, people I barely knew. Meanwhile, I was the only idiot sweating in a button-up shirt with grass stains on my knees. Everybody else showed up looking fresh and clean like they hadn't lifted a finger all day. Paula's sister greeted me like I was the help. Oh, you must be the one setting everything up. You're doing such a great job. She said it with that sugary, fake tone that made me want to laugh and punch a wall at the same time. Even my own uncle didn't recognize me at first. Ryan gave me a quick side hug and mumbled, "Glad you came, man," before disappearing with his girlfriend. As the afternoon wore on, I noticed something that kind of twisted my stomach. Nobody had saved me a seat. Not at a single table. At first, I told myself it was just an oversight, that someone would notice and fix it. But the longer I stood there, the more chairs filled up, until I was the only one left standing, holding a flimsy plastic cup of lukewarm lemonade, forcing a smile. Paula finally announced that dinner was ready. Everybody started lining up with their paper plates, laughing and chatting like everything was perfect. I hung back by the folding table where I'd set out the silverware. That's when it happened. I was reaching over to fix a crooked napkin holder when I heard my dad's voice. Sharp, sudden, loud enough that everybody nearby stopped talking. "Luke," he said, not even bothering to look at me. "You're just a guest in this family now. Don't overstep." It hit me like a punch to the gut. At first, I couldn't even process what I heard. I just stood there blinking, thinking maybe I heard him wrong. But then Paula, standing right next to him, arms crossed, chimed in with a smug little smirk. "It's not your place to run things here," she said, like she'd been dying to get those words out for years. I looked over at Ryan, my baby brother who used to follow me around like a puppy. He met my eyes and then looked away. Didn't say a word. Not one single word. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just stood there, holding that dumb plastic cup, realizing I was the only person in that backyard who didn't belong anymore. I walked inside without saying anything, found my bag by the front door where I dropped it that morning. And then I started unplugging things. The Wi-Fi router? Gone. I bought it last year when theirs broke and nobody bothered replacing it. The backyard speakers? Mine too. I had lent them to Ryan for his graduation party and never got them back. The extra generator keeping the catering food warm? Yeah, that was mine as well. Bought it during last winter's snowstorm and left it with Dad, just in case. I unplugged it and carried it out to my car like it weighed nothing. It was like something inside me finally switched off. All the years of bending over backward, swallowing my pride, gone, just like that. And I wasn't done yet. I walked to my car slow and steady, like I wasn't burning up inside. Like I hadn't just been told, in front of an entire yard full of people, that I wasn't family anymore. But I wasn't gonna cry. Not for them. Not anymore. As I popped the trunk and started loading the gear, I noticed Ryan watching me through the kitchen window. He didn't come outside. Didn't say a thing. Just stared. I almost laughed right then and there. Maybe he was just shocked that I didn't slink off quietly like I always used to. Not this time. After loading up my car, I climbed in, started the engine, and just sat there for a minute. I stared down at my phone, opened up a little folder I kept tucked away in my notes app. I had it labeled Shared Expenses. It was packed with all the stuff my family had conveniently forgotten I'd been paying for over the years. Like the car insurance policy still in my name. Dad had wrecked his old car a few years back, and I stepped in, co-signed for the new one, got him a good rate through my provider. He never switched it over, so I kept paying the monthly bill. Quietly. Maybe out of guilt. Maybe just out of habit. Same with the utilities. When Mom passed, the house had still been under her name, and I'd never gotten around to taking myself off the accounts. Last year, when they hit a rough patch, Paula quit her job to focus on her wellness, or whatever that meant. I agreed to cover the electric bill for a little while. A little while turned into a full year. I still had access to all the account logins. Still had control over everything. And then there was the big one. I wasn't just paying for the Wi-Fi or covering their Amazon Prime. I was also the guarantor on their brand new HVAC system. Their old unit had crapped out during the worst summer heat wave we'd seen in decades, and when the contractor said they needed a cosigner, guess who they called? Yep, me. I didn't even think twice, just showed up and signed the papers. Paid the first installment myself just to get the ball rolling. And the best part? I still had the contract. So I opened up the billing portal, unlinked my credit card, and clicked Transfer Ownership. When it wouldn't let me, because, surprise, they hadn't made enough consistent payments, I just shut off the autopay instead. Next, I logged into the electric company's site. Paused the payments. Shot a quick message to customer service. I'm no longer living at this address and would like to be removed as a payee. They got back to me within minutes, saying they'd follow up with the primary account holder. I smiled. Then I opened the insurance app, pulled up the car policy, took my payment method off, scheduled a cancellation for the end of the month. Finally, I screenshotted every single cancellation, removal, and email confirmation, bundled them up into one email, and sent it straight to Dad. Subject line, since I'm just a guest, here's what I'll stop providing. I hit send. Then I pulled out of that driveway and didn't look back. About 5 minutes down the road, the calls started rolling in. First Ryan, then Paula, then Dad. None of them left voicemails, and I didn't answer a single one. Instead, I drove back to my apartment, parked, and made myself a sandwich, the kind I used to eat as a kid. Peanut butter and jelly, crust cut off. I needed something familiar, something to ground me. About an hour later, Ryan finally texted, "Dude, what's going on?" I stared at it for a while, thinking. Then I sent back one simple line. Just a guest. Remember? No reply. Next morning, I woke up to find 4 missed calls from Paula, 2 emails from Dad, one pissed off, one pretending to be concerned, and a voicemail from my Aunt Lisa, telling me she heard things had gotten tense, and maybe I was overreacting. Overreacting. Yeah, okay. I helped set up an entire family gathering, paid for part of it out of my own pocket, and got told, in front of everybody, that I wasn't even family anymore. But sure, I was the peace devil. They underestimated me. Again, later that afternoon, the power went out at their house. I know this because Ryan texted me. Power's off. Did you do something? I waited 5 minutes before replying. You'd have to ask the family. I'm just the guest. 3 hours later, Dad left me a voicemail. His voice sounded tight, controlled, but there was a crack in it, like he couldn't quite believe this was happening. Luke, he said, voice rough. We need to talk. I think things got out of hand. Paula shouldn't have said that. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. You know I appreciate everything you've done. Please, let's talk. I didn't call him back. I wanted him to feel it, really feel it, because this wasn't just about one bad Easter Sunday. It wasn't about a folding chair or a couple of plastic eggs. It was about every ignored birthday, every missed holiday, every time I called and nobody picked up. It was about being made to feel like a stranger in the same house where I used to hear bedtime stories and flip pancakes on Sunday mornings. It was about the little boy who had to watch his dad move on too damn fast. The one who kept hoping, year after year, that maybe, just maybe, he'd matter again. And now? Now he finally did. And I wasn't finished yet. I waited a whole day before it even occurred to me to call him back. Not because I was playing games, but because I needed that time to think, time to breathe, time to not just react like I always had before. I wanted to be calm, clear, not clinging to some hope that he'd suddenly apologize and fix everything, but ready to hear whatever he had to say once he didn't have all the power anymore. So the next evening, around 5 o'clock, I called. He picked up on the first ring. Luke, he breathed out, like my name alone was saving him. Thank you. Thank you for calling. Look, I don't know what Paula said, or what you think. No, I cut him off, steady and calm. Don't start there. You know exactly what you said. Don't pretend it didn't happen. There was silence on his end. I could hear him breathing, but he didn't interrupt. Because I want to be really clear, I said, keeping my voice even. You told me I was just a guest. You said it loud and clear, in front of Paula, in front of Ryan, in front of everyone at that party. You said I didn't belong. I let that sink in for a second. After I spent my whole Sunday and half my paycheck making sure your big family event went off without a hitch. Look, it wasn't about. It was exactly about that, I snapped, but stayed steady. You made your choice. And now, I've made mine. He let out a heavy sigh, and just like that, his voice shifted. That old, frustrated tone crept in, the one he used to pull out when I was a teenager, the one that made him sound like he was trying to be the only grown-up in the room. I think you're overreacting, he said. You went too far, cutting the power, taking the speakers. You're punishing the whole family over one sentence. I almost laughed out loud. One sentence? That wasn't a slip of the tongue. It was years of how they'd really treated me, all packed into one lousy moment. I almost laughed right there. Maybe he was surprised I didn't just slink away like I usually did. Not this time. I sat in my car for a minute, engine running, staring at nothing. Then Dad finally spoke again, a little softer this time. Look, he said. I get it. Things haven't exactly been perfect. But you were always the strong one. You handled everything better than Ryan. That's why I leaned on you. That's why I thought you could take it. There it was. The truth. The real reason behind a decade of feeling like I was carrying the load alone. You thought I could take it, I said, voice steady. So you just dumped it on me? You let her treat me like a servant. You let Ryan skate by while I picked up all the pieces. You never once asked if I was okay. And now that I finally stopped doing everything, I'm suddenly dramatic? That's not what I'm saying, he muttered. It's exactly what you're saying, I shot back. I could feel something inside me lock into place. It wasn't anger. It wasn't bitterness either. It was finality. The kind that doesn't yell. It just leaves. Here's the thing, I said, keeping my voice even. I'm not mad. I'm done. Look, come on, No. I'm done trying to prove I belong to people who only remember me when they need something. You want the power back on? Pay your own damn bill. Want your car insurance handled? Transfer the policy. That HVAC system? That's your debt now. I'm not carrying it anymore. I let the silence hang between us for a beat. You made me the guest, Dad, I said. So I'm checking out. And before he could say anything else, I hung up. I didn't block him. Didn't send some dramatic farewell text. I just disappeared from the part they'd cast me in. The next few days were real quiet. Tense, sure, but quiet. No calls. No texts. I heard from my cousin, the one who still talks to me, that there'd been a full-blown meltdown after Easter. Paula blamed Ryan for not handling it better. Ryan blamed Paula for making it worse. Dad tried to smooth it all over, but when the AC cut out during a heat wave that week, yeah, that finished whatever patience he had left. They had to pay for an emergency technician. In cash. Funny how fast things fall apart when the responsible one steps out of the picture. I focused on myself. Took a few days off work. Slept late. Ate real meals. Cleaned up my apartment. And for the first time in longer than I could remember, I didn't feel like I was carrying the world on my shoulders. I wasn't a good son anymore. Wasn't the fixer. Wasn't the guy trying to duct tape a broken family together. About a week later, there was a knock at my door. I checked the peephole before opening it. It was Ryan. He looked nervous. Sweaty. Like he'd been pacing out there a while. Hey, he said. I raised an eyebrow. You could have texted, I said. I figured you wouldn't answer, he admitted. I just leaned against the door frame and waited. I didn't know, he said after a second. About all of it. The payments. The catering. The insurance. I didn't realize how much you were doing. I crossed my arms. You didn't care to know, I said. He nodded. Yeah, I didn't. I just got used to it. You always handling everything. I guess I thought you liked it. Did I look like I liked it? I asked. He smiled a little, a real, almost sad smile, and looked down. No, not really. There was a long pause. I could tell he hadn't come here to argue. That was new. I talked to Dad, he said. He's Dad. He's blaming Paula, but also trying to guilt you for walking away. That almost made me laugh. Then Ryan said, I don't want to fix things for them. I want to fix things with you. I studied his face for a second. No smugness. No smart-ass grin. Just honesty. You want to fix it? I said. Then start by not needing me to do all the work. He nodded again. Fair. I stepped aside and opened the door wider. You want some water? He let out a breath like he'd been holding it the whole time. Yeah, that'd be great. We sat down at my kitchen table, and for the first time in years, something shifted. Not fixed. Not all forgiven. But cracked open, just enough for the air to move. I knew Dad would keep trying. Paula too, peaceably, sending guilt trip emails about rebuilding trust or whatever. But I wasn't playing their game anymore. This time, the guest had packed up and left for good. Ryan and I talked for nearly 2 hours that night. Not just about the Easter mess. About everything. The years of imbalance. The quiet resentments. The way I'd always been the fallback guy, the spare son who kept the wheels turning while Dad and Paula put Ryan up on a pedestal. And you know what? Ryan didn't make excuses. He didn't try to duck it. He just listened. At one point he said, I think I was just lazy. It was easier to let you do everything. And if nobody told you to stop, I figured it must have been fine. That's the peace devilum, I said quietly. No one ever asked if it was fine. They just assumed it. He nodded, slow and heavy. I'm sorry, man. And for once, I actually believed him. For the first time in forever, I felt like I was sitting across from my brother. Not Dad and Paula's golden child. Not the guy who used to borrow money and forget to pay it back. But the kid who used to sneak candy into my room during finals week. The one who begged me to stay up late playing Mario Kart when we were kids. The version of him that existed before all the favoritism poisoned everything. I didn't say, it's okay, because it wasn't. But I said, thanks. And for now, that was enough. The next few weeks were boring in the best way. I went to work, came home, watched old movies, cooked real dinners instead of grabbing drive-thru while racing between crises. My apartment stopped feeling like a layover and started feeling like home. It was the calmest I'd felt since college. Dad didn't give up, though. At first, it was little things, a forwarded meme here, a random family brunch invite there. Stuff I ignored. Then came the apology texts, one after another, each more desperate than the last. We were all stressed that day. You know, I didn't mean it like that. You've always been part of this family. Look, please don't do this. You're tearing us apart. That one actually made me laugh out loud. Me? I wasn't tearing anything apart. I was just done being the glue holding it all together. Dad didn't reply after that. But then came the final straw. 3 weeks after Easter, he sent me a long email. Not to apologize. Not to take any kind of responsibility. No, he sent it to guilt me. Paula is heartbroken. Ryan's been upset. You've made your point. Maybe it's time to stop punishing everyone. Punishing. That word lit something inside me like a match to dry leaves. Let's be clear. I didn't do any of this to be vindictive. I didn't cut the cord to hurt anyone. I did it because it was the only way they would ever hear me. The only way to stop the cycle. The only way to remind them that I wasn't just some silent, dependable side character in their lives. But apparently, standing up for myself counted as punishment. So I wrote him back. You want to talk about punishment? Let's talk. For 10 years, I helped with your bills. Your car. Your house. I paid for groceries when you came up short. Paid Ryan's college application fees. Lent Paula money for that wellness retreat she never paid back. I was your backup wallet. Your backup planner. Your emotional crutch. I organized birthdays. I bought decorations. I called every Sunday for years. You forgot my birthday twice. Last Christmas, you gave me a $20 gift card while Ryan got a brand new laptop. You said I didn't need anything because I already had a good setup. And on Easter, after I spent my whole day and a chunk of my paycheck planning, setting up, cleaning, making sure everything went smooth, you stood there in front of the whole family and said I was just a guest. You don't get to call my boundaries punishment. You don't get to hurt me for years and then act shocked when I finally stop letting you. You made your choices. Now I'm making mine. I ended it with one last line. I wish you well, but I'm done. And I meant it. I didn't wait for a reply. I archived the thread, blocked his number for my own peace of mind, and walked away. A few months later, though, things got interesting. Ryan called me one afternoon. Dad moved out, he said, voice low. I blinked. What? Paula kicked him out last week, he explained. Turns out, Dad had been lying about the HVAC payments after I pulled the plug on everything. Told Paula it was all handled. He figured I'd cave eventually. Of course he did. But instead, the final notices started rolling in. Then the repair guy showed up again, this time with news about a lien being placed on the house if they didn't pay up fast. Paula lost it. Blew up at him. Blamed him for everything. Said he never should have made me responsible for all that stuff to begin with. I raised an eyebrow at that. Now she says that? I muttered. Ryan sighed. Look, I'm not defending her. She's still Paula. But without you around to keep everything running, they just imploded. It was never gonna last. He went quiet for a second. Dad's staying with Uncle Steve now. He's thinking about selling the house. Wow, I said under my breath. All of that from one sentence in a backyard. Ryan gave a dry laugh. Yeah, guess you weren't just a guest after all. After that, Ryan and I stayed in touch. Slowly. Casually. He stopped by a few more times. We grabbed lunch now and then. For once, he actually started asking about my life instead of just talking about his. And then on my birthday, for the first time in years, he showed up with a homemade cake. Chocolate with raspberry filling. Just like Mom used to make. I didn't even know he knew how to bake. Figured I owed you one, he said, a little sheepish. For all the ones you covered over the years. I won't pretend everything healed overnight. It didn't. Some wounds don't close neatly. They just stop bleeding. But for the first time in a long time, I had peace. And that was enough. As for Dad, he never responded to my last email. But 3 months later, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. It started simple. Luke, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve it. But I read your email 100 times. You were right. About all of it. I got used to you fixing everything. And when you stopped, I didn't know how to function without you. That was my failure. Not yours. I'm sorry. I don't know if we'll ever talk again, but I hope one day you can remember the good parts of us. Because I do. Dad. I stared at that letter for a long while. Then I folded it up, tucked it into a drawer, and walked away. Not angry. Not smug. Just free. Because the truth is sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't some big, loud scene. It's not a screaming match or a public throwdown. Sometimes, real power is silence. It's walking away. It's saying, you don't get to hurt me anymore. And meaning it.